Why would Mali be considered one of the poorest countries in the world, despite its history of wealthy emperors and the abundance of gold? Let's delve into what it's like to live in Mali. Mali is located in what was a great medieval empire. Being a former French colony, it was known as French Sudan. It shares borders with Algeria, Niger, Mauritania, Senegal, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, and Burkina Faso. The Sahara Desert covers the northern half of Mali, with the river running through it. According to the United Nations Human Development Index, Mali is the fourth poorest country in the world. The languages spoken in Mali are Bamanankan and French. French is the official language in schools and the government. Mali is an incredibly diverse nation, ethnically and geographically. It has a population of almost 17 to 19 million. Half of the population is Mandinka. The other half is comprised of various ethnic groups, including Moors and Tuareg nomads. Nomadic Fulani cattle rearers move around the country and sometimes get into conflicts with the settled farmers. Bamako, the capital of Mali, is a dusty and dirty city with some wealthy areas. The majority of the population is rural, and most Malians are illiterate due to a widespread lack of education. Thus, they engaged in subsistence agriculture, growing mainly rice, millet, corn, and peanuts, with cotton as the only cash crop. Mali's entire economic life relies essentially on the Niger River. This river is the only source of fish for the teeming population. However, the climatic hazards and pollution around the river have made it dangerous and insufficient for the growing population. Therefore, drought is a common name in Mali, and the poverty rate is high. While Mali is primarily an Islamic nation, many are Christians or animists. From a social perspective, it's a fairly permissive society. Women wear long skirts, but arms, chests, and heads are regularly exposed. Most families practice polygamy. A patriarch will live with 2 to 3 wives in a large compound of small huts with all their children. This lifestyle is replicated even in urban areas. In rural areas, families work together to farm, and both men and women may engage in small commerce to make additional money. Mali is rich and varied. Large herbivorous mammals, including gazelles, antelopes, giraffes, and elephants, are everywhere. Lions, panthers, hyenas, crocodiles, and hippopotamuses are all different genres of animals you will find in the country. Boucle de Baoulé National Park along the Baoulé River in the west, the Ansongo Menaka Animal Reserve, and Douentza Gorma Elephant Reserve in the east are major wildlife sanctuaries, so you can visit any of them for sightseeing. Mali is more known for its large numbers of cattle, sheep, and goats. The 2 main bovine species are zebu and taurines. The zebu is found throughout the Sahel. The taurine is a bull-like bovine and is more common in the south and on the savannas. The Sahel sheep and the Guinea goat are kept for the meat. The Messina sheep for the wool, and the Sahel goat is a good milk producer. The camel, of course, a familiar sight in the desert areas. When it comes to birds, you can still indulge yourself in Mali. There are hundreds of species in Mali, like the ostrich, especially along the Niger and northern Timbuktu. In the rivers and lakes of Mali, there are about 200 species of fish, including the delicious capitan, dogfish, and various types of catfish. The healthcare system in the country is another major challenge. A huge proportion of the population suffers from malnutrition, lack of hygiene, and poor sanitation. The majority of healthcare is provided via foreign aid in the form of international development organizations and foreign missionary groups. Outside of Mali's capital, Bamako, medical facilities are rare, and those that do exist lack regular supplies of drugs, as well as medical professionals to administer them. In the 1990s, it was reported that there were a mere 5 doctors per 100,000 inhabitants. The shortage of health services is likewise indicated in a 1999 report, which found that only 36% of Malians were within a 5-kilometer radius of healthcare facilities. The knock-on effect of this shortage of healthcare is that various diseases are widespread and problematic. For example, malaria is widespread, along with other mosquito-borne diseases such as dengue fever and diseases like hepatitis A, typhoid fever, meningitis, and diarrhea. Additionally, food shortages have resulted in many of the population suffering from malnutrition. This has led to significant health risks among children, particularly those between the ages of 6 and 60 months. They are at a higher risk of developing anemia, with a prevalence rate of 82%. Of the 16,000 children surveyed for malnutrition, 376 suffered from severe to acute malnutrition, and another 1,646 had moderate acute malnutrition in 2013. Women were very eager to learn about contraception, as having 8 to 10 children had devastating effects on their health and their ability to feed their families. Nonetheless, extreme poverty is gradually becoming a topic of the past. An individual living on less than $1 a day is considered to be in extreme poverty. Between 2011 and 2013, the extreme poverty rate in Mali increased from 47.8% to 50.4%. However, as a result of successful agricultural production, the rate fell to 42.7% in 2017. So it can be concluded that industrialized agriculture is imperative to improving the living conditions in Mali. Malian cuisine varies from region to region due to diverse cultural groups, but there are dishes found throughout the country. Chickens have been raised in Mali for thousands of years. Other protein sources include lamb, beef, and fish. Vegetables farmed include carrots, yams, sweet potatoes, and peanuts. Grains include millet and rice. Rice is the staple food and provides up to 40% of the daily food intake. African rice has a distinct taste, coloring, and aroma. Make sure you try it when you visit. Typical dishes include rice with vegetables in a peanut sauce, rice or any other cereal grain served with tomatoes and fish, or meat with vegetables. Meat curries are frequently made with lamb. Jollof rice is also prepared with a mixture of rice with tomatoes, vegetables, and meat. Drinks include a sugar, lemon, and ginger drink called ginginbere. Dabileni is another drink made of sugar, water, and sorrel. Meals end with a strong sweet tea. 3 rounds of tea are served. The first is for life, the second is for love, and the third is for death. The major problem in Mali is insecurity. Human rights and security deteriorated in Mali when the armed Islamic groups surfaced, and the political crisis deepened. Armed Islamist attacks on civilians and government forces intensified, while the Malian security forces summarily executed numerous suspects. The number of internally displaced people increased significantly, bringing the total to over 385,000. As a traveler, you must always watch out for militant groups. They have been known to rob and kidnap travelers in the northern part of the country. That means anyone traveling in the north, especially after sunset, is in great danger. The authorities made scant progress addressing rampant banditry or restoring state authority and services, including the judiciary. This undermined the rule of law and people's confidence in the state. They made some progress delivering justice in terrorism cases, but not for large-scale atrocities, implicating ethnic militias and soldiers during counter-terrorism operations. The number of civilians that armed Islamists abducted or kidnapped increased significantly during 2021, with those abducted including local officials, village and religious leaders. Aid workers and Chinese construction workers were also included in the mess. French journalist Olivier Dubois was taken hostage near Gao. Armed Islamists executed a Swiss missionary and at least 1 Malian aid worker in their custody. In areas under their control, Islamist armed groups imposed forced taxation, beat civilians refusing to adhere to their strict behavioral and dress code, and implemented Sharia law via courts that did not adhere to fair trial standards. They also contributed to food insecurity by attacking farmers and besieging villages. In May, Islamist armed groups amputated the arms and legs of 3 men accused of banditry in the Gao region. The United Nations reported that armed groups maimed 71 children and killed at least 60 children in 2022. Armed groups also recruited and used over 200 children as child soldiers. As of June 2021, insecurity forced the closure of 1,595 schools, leaving more than 478,000 children out of school. Terrifying, isn't it? The French military was deployed to Mali during the civilian government to combat the insurgencies. However, with the coming back of a military junta, the French said that they couldn't deal with a government that they do not know its strategy and agenda. This, however, brought the influence of nations like Russia to Mali. Specifically, the Wagner Group is now increasing its presence in the country. Their mission is unclear, but the government of Mali and Russia says they are not mercenaries, but trainers helping local troops fight the decade-long insurgency against Islamist militants. According to a verified source, the Mali government now works directly with Wagner, paying around $10.8 million monthly for its services. Ironically, Wagner fighters have been accused of being involved in an incident last year in Maura, where local troops and suspected Russian fighters allegedly killed hundreds of civilians. Thus, it is inconclusive to determine the impact of the Wagner group on Mali's security. Despite all this, Mali is not without a measure of happiness. Thus, the activities of Playing for Change in Kirina, Mali are of worthy note. This organization is dedicated to teaching children and youth music. More than 100 girls participate in dance classes at Ecole de Musique de Kirina every week. The organization is working tirelessly to expand the opportunities for girls in Mali. Also, they provide resources to affected areas in the nation. They are working tirelessly on how music can bring change and peace to a community. In conclusion, Mali is full of incredible kindness, hospitality, and curiosity. The citizens are not dangerous to relate with at all. They are receptive to foreigners and love to share their experiences in the land. They also appreciate it when foreigners share their experiences with them. Also, Malians love festivals. You will always see them celebrating an event, including weddings and naming ceremonies for infants, etc. That will be all for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.